licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, it's Friday, thank God.
Oh, happy Friday, Crudy, but still always a pleasure, my dear friend. What do you want to do today?
You know what Friday means to me, buddy?
Airing of grievances?
That, and it's Mueller time.
Is that what it is?
For a whole different reason in this case. You know, I'm always encouraged when friends of ours make it big time. And U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, overnight, he became something of a big shot. Hell, I would say Ron Johnson was the national punchline last night on every late night show, most especially Stephen Colbert. He's my favorite, and I mean Colbert, not Johnson. But before we go there, let's set up the show. Tom, another packed jam.
How do we keep doing this all the time?
Full of goodness show, including this incident that happened overnight right here in Milwaukee. Milwaukee Bucks player, I believe his name, Sterling Brown, 22-year-old man, out last night about 2 a.m., parked across some handicapped spots, and for that crime, apparently was tased by Milwaukee police overnight. I mean, who gets tased over a parking violation if there are no drugs, no weapons, no other anythings?
Right.
Other than we didn't like the way this
disorderly
guy looked.
Conduct, some other charge to come forward. What? So at the end result,
looking scary while black?
Well, as a Milwaukee Buck, he's probably tall.
I suspect Sterling Brown is taller than you.
I would suspect so as well. And so, coming away with a ticket and a tase? Is that how we do it in Milwaukee? Well, yes, of course that's how we do it in Milwaukee.
Now, I've been arrested. Everybody knows there's at least a couple stories out there in my skeleton-filled closets, Tom. But I've never been tased. I've been fearful of being tased. But I got to tell you, if this man got tased for a parking ticket,
or tased for talking back to the police.
I mean, the city of Milwaukee, they're going to be raising wheel taxes or something to pay off the lawsuit.
We keep having to pay lawsuits in this city for some reason.
Well, Dominic, we've got our own in-house expert on this topic. We got a former Green Bay Packer that works here on the staff. He's our sales director. He's on the air. Hell, he's Fancy Brian's partner in 414 Wisconsin.
Hell of a guy.
He is Daryl Ingram. And Daryl's going to join us on air. And Daryl told me a story off air, Dom, and I'm not going to steal it from him. But he's going to tell us the time he was arrested in Green Bay, or at least held at gunpoint by Green Bay police, because apparently you're not supposed to be black in Green Bay during the off season.
What time is Daryl joining us?
Daryl's joining us on air at 3 o'clock today. Daryl Ingram, former Green Bay Packer tight end, our friend, our colleague, right here at WRD 1510 AM. Also, Fred Royal, he is the president of the NAACP in Milwaukee. 3:30, Fred's joining us here in our Brady Street studios. So this will be a topic of conversation, I feel quite sure. And we'll spend some time Walker bashing after 4, Dom. But this headline overnight, and this was a big one, and bigger perhaps even than the punchline that Ron Johnson has made himself. Trump ordered the code red, Tom. He ordered the code red. He wanted Mueller fired. But what? White House counsel said no, and he backed off. He turned soft. He couldn't get his will through White House counsel Don McCann.
The New York Times is reporting, Michael Schmidt, Maggie Haberman, President Trump ordered the firing last June, of Robert Mueller, the special counsel overseeing the Russia investigation, according to four people told of the matter, but ultimately backed down after White House counsel threatened to resign rather than carry out the directive. The West Wing confrontation marks the first time Mr. Trump is known to have tried to fire the special counsel. Mr. Mueller learned about the episode in recent months as his investigators interviewed current and former senior White House officials in his inquiry as into whether the president obstructed justice. Amid the first wave of news media reports that Mr. Mueller was examining a possible obstruction case, the president began to argue that Mr. Mueller had count them, 1, 2, 3, conflicts of interest that disqualified him from overseeing the investigation, two of the people said. And here they are, Crudy. First, he claimed that a dispute years ago over fees at Trump National Golf Club in Sterling, Virginia, had prompted Mr. Mueller, the FBI director at the time, to resign his membership.
I do say, sir.
I want a hamburger. I want a cheeseburger.
You get nothing and like it, Spalding.
The president also said Mr. Mueller could not be impartial because he had most recently worked for the law firm that previously represented the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
I suspect Kushner's had many attorneys and may need some good ones going forward.
Finally, the president said Mr. Mueller had been interviewed to return to the FBI director the day before he was appointed special counsel in May. After receiving the president's order to fire Mr. Mueller, the White House counsel, Donald F. McGahn II, refused to ask the Justice Department to dismiss the special counsel, saying he would quit instead, the people said. They spoke on the condition of anonymity because they did not want to be identified discussing a continuing investigation.
So Trump ordered the code red. The president dismissed the revelations on Friday. Here's what he said today, Dom. Fake news, folks. Fake news, a typical New York Times fake news story. But let's not forget, April Reed was reporting this story on my birthday last summer, June 12th. And yesterday, I don't know if we have this. We might play it over if we did have it. Yesterday, I played a question I asked of U.S. Senator Ron Johnson on June 5th. Of 2017. The timing, not conspicuous at all. Let's not forget. I asked Ron Johnson, had the president called or tried to pressure him as the HISGAC chair, a Senate committee chairman with committee subpoena power. Well, let's play the sound. Here's me being super smart and incisive. Last June, nice. I am being an investigative journalist just this side of Woodward and Bernstein, played for the people. Crudy asking the newest punchline, Ron Johnson, a question. He's a punchline now. He was our friend, Senator Ron Johnson, back then.
Ron, you're the chairman of HISGAC. Last time Donald Trump came to town, gave you a little bit of grief about being sort of the collection agent for NATO. I would wonder, Senator, has the...
I don't believe so.
Well, I can send you some tape, Ron, but here's my question. Has the president ever approached you as the HISGAC chair, either publicly or privately, about not going forward with investigations of Russia?
No, absolutely not. And let me just talk about NATO.
Let me just talk about NATO. Let me tell you, Ron.
The answer was no, absolutely not.
Okay, that's what he said back June 5th, 2017. And I took him at his word. I didn't press him further about either collection of NATO dues or whether or not the president of the United States had asked this man not to investigate collusion between him and Russia. So that's where we leave it. We now find out, at least April Ryan reported, June 12th of last year was the day when the White House was in an uproar because news was leaking out. The president was trying to fire Robert Mueller. And what they say at that time, oh, fake news. Same thing that Trump's saying today. Never happened, never happened. Hell, righties like Sean Slanthead Hannity were out there even as recently as, about 9:15 last night, claiming that this is just more fake news from the New York Times. I think we've got the sound.
Yeah, let's do this. Brian, let's do this. Hannity from last night. Challenging, pushing back on the reporting Cut 83.
Now, tonight, for example, they're trying to change the story. At this hour, the New York Times is trying to distract you. They have a story that Trump wanted Mueller fired sometime last June, and our sources, and I've checked in with many of them, they're not confirming that tonight. And the president's attorney dismissed the story and says, no comment, we're not going there. And how many times has the New York Times and others gotten it wrong?
Now, that occurred at 9:18 p.m. Eastern Time on the Sean Hannity Show. Dom, the next clip, 9:58 p.m. Eastern Time, also on the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, so we have sources tonight just confirming to Ed Henry that, maybe Donald Trump wanted to fire the special counsel for conflict. Does he not have the right to raise those questions? You know, we'll deal with this tomorrow night. We have a shocking video of the day to bring you, by the way. This footage comes to us from Arizona, where you see that red SUV, high-speed police.
Are you kidding me? What did Hannity... Hannity rolled out some car crash video, Dom. That's how Hannity closed his show. Didn't take a minute to comment on the fact, even though 40 minutes prior, he's calling it fake news, New York Times never gets it right. Now, Sean Hannity's own sources at Fox News have confirmed that indeed he tried to fire Mueller. That was his intent. And Don McCann, the only thing that blocked him. And Don McCann is not a Trump lawyer. Don McCann is the White House lawyer. He is supposed to be there to preserve the presidency. I'm not sure if he is capable of doing that all by himself. But ultimately, Hannity, I mean, that's some laughable stuff, Dom. I have not seen a man, you know, from fake news to no big deal in 40 minutes,
Doesn't he have the right? Hannity questions, he muses. Doesn't the president have the right to, you know, have concerns about this conflict? And we'll get to that later. But look over here.
You know, I heard the president raised his membership dues at the country club, and Mueller didn't like it, so he left. He can't be the special counsel.
We should fire him immediately.
I'm not sure how the former FBI director could possibly keep his personal affection for golf separate from his duties to country and the investigation of Donald Trump. I mean, you know, I love golf too, Dom, but I think I probably compartmentalize those two things.
That crash and burn, that wasn't a video of some high-speed chase in California. That was the video of Donald Trump's presidency.
Or perhaps Sean Hannity's credibility as a reporter. Even by Fox News standards. I mean, Hannity is pretty much on his last legs, right?
No,
there's
Fox going to be the 30% that support Trump that will watch Hannity.
But when does Fox News have to make an editorial decision at some point? They got to go out and correct the record on the Hannity. Stephen Colbert. Didn't get to that yet. We will soon. Stephen Colbert, I think he had the best one of the night. Made our good buddy, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, stood right where you're standing now, Dom. Toasted us. Didn't play the fool that day. But recently, on what, the bequest of the President of the United States?
Perhaps allegedly? Suddenly,
Ron Johnson's playing the fool. And he certainly became the punchline on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Come back, we'll play it for you if you missed it. We're the Devil's Advocates. We're the funniest, best damn radio show ever on the best damn radio station ever. WRD 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
It's on the outskirts of town, by the railroad tracks, where the country moonshine. Oh, I'm present bound, tell my girl I'll be back one day.
I'll guarantee you'll never be a member here.
You ever served in an infantry unit, son?
You know, we'll deal with this tomorrow night.
You can't handle the truth!
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel,
I don't have a lot of expertise,
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
Even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that, yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We've got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do got to go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's three easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local 344.org.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad!
Oh, come on! This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Tom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Blinded by the light, wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Streaming live on YouTube, Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and always on the phones, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we're foreshadowing a joke. You just got to wait for it. Real quick, my wife sent me a text. Sometimes my son, Caden, you know, we got the two dogs, and sometimes Caden invades their space, gets a little too lovey-dovey with the dogs. My wife texts me, Caden, I'm like Donald Trump is to women, but with dogs. I think they're cool, and I like to touch them.
Grab him by the doggy.
He invades their space without their permission. Sometimes they get a little miffed. I suspect women do when Trump grabs them by the you-know-what as well. Dom Colbert, my favorite late-night Colbert, in his monologue, made our good friend Ron Johnson and his claims of secret society something of a punchline, you might say, but we've got to play it for the people and for you. I know you missed Colbert last night.
I didn't hear it last night.
Fancy Brian, do it for us. Stephen Colbert discussing our pal Ron. Cut 81.
The day after the election, Strzok's girlfriend texted, "Are you even going to give out your calendars? Seems kind of depressing. Maybe it should just be the first meeting of the secret society." Gotcha! Because when you're in a secret society, you always make sure to call it the secret society. And you meet in a place with a big sign that says, Secret Society Meeting. and you have a secret handshake where we shake hands and whisper the word, secret.
Okay, now Colbert lights up Ron. And this one, Dom, I can't believe we didn't theme this show Game of Thrones. Wait for it. Ron Johnson, the theme of this joke, Colbert, the monologue.
There is one person who took these texts very, very seriously, and that's Wisconsin Senator and the nation's highest-ranking White Walker, Ron Johnson. Johnson, a senator, went on Fox News to argue about the existence of this secret society with the fervor of a man who knows people are doing stuff without him.
Corruption at the highest levels of the FBI and that secret society. We have an informant that's talking about a group that were holding secret meetings off-site. There's so much smoke here. There's so much suspicion.
Let's stop there. A secret society, secret meetings off-site of the Justice Department.
Correct.
Really? Correct? Informant? Those aren't the words I'd use when a sitting senator goes on TV to willfully misinterpret a joke text to panic the public that the FBI is involved in a deep state conspiracy to overthrow the president. What's the word for someone who would do that? Oh, yeah. Enormous douche.
Oh, damn. Steven, not holding back.
I don't think I held back much yesterday either, Dom. And hence you see this song often misheard. Blinded by the light.
Revved up like a deuce.
Perhaps our friend Ron Johnson, blinded by the reflection off his albino silver hair.
The White Walker.
The White Walker. He does have those eerie blue eyes. They're sort of captivating. Like the dragon at the end. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. It's Friday. We air grievances. We'll open up the phone lines to you. 844-967-2789. President Trump wanted to fire Mueller. He ordered the code red. McGahn said, hell no. And then apparently Trump ordered, I allege, our pal Ron to go out there and give him a little cover. Work those twinkly blue eyes, Ron. Do something. Give me some cover. And of course, Ron has effectively made himself a national punchline. Come back with us.
Oh, Wisconsin.
We'll talk about the complicity of all the Republicans, like Paul Ryan, like you, Ron. More Devils after this short break.
We can destroy them by burning them, and we can destroy them with dragon glass.
Man is douche and is now free to make love to himself instead.
I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
Shame. Shame.
Only in the forest can
Shame.
you see this.
Shame.
And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. This year's primary will be held on February 20th, and the spring election is on April 3rd. We will not be taken for granted.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave and MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be Union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
The Earl Ingram Show.
I am really honored to have in studio a young man, Mr. Marquise Garner. He's written a wonderful book, Have You Ever Wished You Were Someone Else? Carrying the Weight of Autism. Chapter 4, man, A Face in the Crowd.
Being in public school, a lot of times you have like 35, 40 kids in the class, and I felt like another face in the crowd. Like I wasn't getting the individual attention that I needed when I was falling behind in my curriculum. I felt like I was on a political spectrum. Like not only was I diagnosed as being autistic, but being the first black, I was like, man, not only am I autistic, but I gotta be a revolutionary for my people, being the first black in the special ed class.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays, noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Good afternoon. It is 2:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly, and I have some headlines for you. Senator Ron Johnson has to walk back his conspiracy theory claim that an informant told Congress that there is a secret society in the FBI. A Milwaukee Common Council committee has rejected Mayor Barrett's nominee for interim health commissioner, Alderman Bob Donovan, saying it's time for a fresh voice. Tomorrow is Educators Amplified Part 2, an education summit open to everyone from noon to 3 at the Cactus Club. The Milwaukee Brewers are making some big moves. They dealt a handful of young players, including their number one prospect to Miami for outfielder Kristen Yelich, and they signed free agent outfielder and former Brewer Lorenzo Cain. And the Bucks house cleaning continues with the release of assistant coach Frank Johnson, the third assistant coach released since the firing of Jason Kidd. Currently, we're looking at 50 degrees here in Milwaukee and 44 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m., my name is Brian Kelly.
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Tom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, or as I like to think of us, the Kingmaker show. Or Queenmaker, as the case may be.
Can't we just take the throne for ourselves? Why do we gotta make anybody else the king or queen?
Buddy, I share an office with you. I know you take the throne with some frequency. Let's jump back into the politics and then to the phones. 844-967-2789. Damn it, if I was...
But you're thinking of something Game of Thrones?
Well, like I'm Jaime Lannister and you're Tyrion Lannister or something like that.
Tyrion Lannister is one of my favorite characters.
Come on, Fancy.
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
I can absolutely relate to that man.
I've always thought of you as such. The editorial board of the Washington Post, GOP leaders' complicity grows as their members undermine the rule of law. I'll go first. A foreign power interfered in the 2016 presidential election. U.S. law enforcement is trying to get to the bottom of that story. Congress should be doing everything possible to make sure the investigation can take place. Instead, to protect the president of their party, who may or may not be complicit, Republican leaders in Congress are allowing and encouraging the baseless slander of the investigators. It is a new low for the leadership and one that could do lasting harm to the nation. Cravenness in the Republican leadership's response to Donald Trump is nothing new. During the presidential campaign, few stood up to his nativism and ugly ethnic slurs. Since he has become president, even fewer have stood by their previous commitments to U.S. leadership abroad and fiscal responsibility at home, as he has trampled long-established norms, such as releasing annual tax returns. We've heard not a peep from the Article 1 branch. But this moment is different. Republicans have embarked on a smear campaign of the FBI that can only end in a dangerous erosion of trust in law enforcement, the subjugation of law enforcement to partisan interest, or both. For Republican leaders, House Speaker Paul D. Ryan of Wisconsin, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, and Senate Majority Whip John Cornyn, Texas, Vice Chairman of the Senate Republican Conference Roy Blunt, Missouri, to remain silent is to be complicit. These men could tomorrow end this nonsense of secret societies, phony memos, and missing text messages and let professionals such as Special Counsel Robert Mueller III do their jobs. Instead, they are allowing Fox News personalities, the president, and loose cannons such as House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, Dom Spuddy, and Senate Homeland Security Committee Chairman Ron Johnson, also Dom Spuddy, to turn the United States into a country where law enforcement becomes another pawn in the partisan war, Dom.
This is from the editorial board of the Washington Post. I'll bring it home. Mr. Johnson irresponsibly recycles nonsense about corruption at the highest levels of the FBI, offering no evidence because, of course, there is none. Mr. Nunes abuses his access to classified information as Intelligence Committee Chairman, a title Mr. Ryan long ago should have revoked, to manufacture dark conspiracies. We learned today about information that in the immediate aftermath of his election, there may have been a secret society of folks within the Department of Justice and the FBI working against Mr. Trump. Rep. John Ratcliffe, a Republican from Texas, says. Then he adds, I'm not saying that actually happened.
Then what the hell are you saying?
No matter the purpose is achieved, doubts are planted, and a share of the country will discount anything federal law enforcement says about Mr. Trump. These men are destroying something that won't easily be recovered. Faith in the idea of impartial law enforcement. It amounts to an assault on the rule of law. Mr. Trump openly wishes for an attorney general who will protect him, asks law enforcement officials whom they voted for, and fires or attempts to fire those he deems disloyal. He does not believe that FBI agents or anyone else is motivated by public-spiritedness or respect for the law, only by self-interest and personal loyalty to his or some other clan. If Mr. Ryan, Mr. McConnell, and others continue in their acquiescence, his cynical view may come closer to reality.
Washington Post editorial board. I agree with them. I don't see a word I don't agree with, even the ones I have trouble pronouncing.
844-967-2789. It's Friday. We air grievances. Taking your calls right now. We'll start with our pal, Betsy. Hey, Betsy. Happy Friday. What do you got for us?
Hey, Betsy.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Thank you. I am happy.
Yeah? Well,
I got a belly full of Cajun food. We got a new sponsor. I can't wait to tell you all about them.
You guys are just booming. I'm so happy. I mean, you're the only hope that I see. Honest to God, in my little world, you are it. And, you know, I have a grievance against Senator Johnson.
What's that?
You know, what's that? Drain the swamp? He is so complicit. I mean, all of them. Paul Ryan, every one of them. And they are all part.
They've merged their agendas.
Yes.
And Paul Ryan's words, that's what he said about he and Trump. They have merged their agendas.
Now, I hear rumors that Paul Ryan isn't going to run, that he hasn't announced it yet because so many people have dropped out. But at the last minute, he's not going to run, and then he's going to gear up and run for president. And then we got Mitt Romney again. I mean, it's just... And then we got Christian Taliban that are just ruining women and their right to health care. And they're not even worrying about the opiate epidemic, and they're attacking marijuana. And it shows studies that in California, not so much Colorado, that the opioid, people aren't dying as much there because of the legalization. And, I mean, medicinal marijuana is so important to so many people who suffer from seizures. Even our pets benefit from medicinal marijuana.
I benefit from medicinal marijuana. I have a lot of Trump anxiety.
And really, you guys you brighten my day. even though it's never really good news. It's just chaos. But I guess we can thank Trump for that. You guys are just, I mean, the resistance is working. People are waking up, and I'm so grateful for that. But there's still a lot of work to do. And
Betsy, thank you so much for listening. Happy Friday. Happy weekend to you. And I got some good news for you, sister. At least a little sharp stick in your eye kind of news. Randy Bryce is going to the State of the Union address next Wednesday as the guest of our friend Mark Pocan.
What?
He will be in the chambers.
Oh, man, I was hoping Mark was going to bring Stormy Daniels.
I know, I was a little hopeful as well. He said that on our show. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yes.
Well, as a sharp stick in the eye, perhaps not to the president, but to the Speaker of the House, I got to think Randy Bryce is going to sting a little. So we wish Randy well, and I'll be sure to watch that, and I'm sure you'll, read the transcript the next day on
Come on, man.
On the interwebs.
Oh, I guess now it is our duty. Crudy, another piece I want to get to quickly before the break, and you can join us on the phone. It's Friday, 844-967-2789, also from the Washington Post.
I wonder if Ron Johnson's got a secret society friend joining him for the big festivities. And you did invite him back on today, right?
Yes, I actually communicated with his staff yesterday, invited him yesterday, and then left a message once again today for members of the staff to invite him on today, tomorrow, Monday, anytime if he wants to address this with us.
Well, don't leave that open-ended invitation too open-ended. He'll only be, headline up the day for a few more days, perhaps.
The Mueller confrontation that Republicans were trying to avoid has just arrived. Amber Phillips, Washington Post. The firing of Special Counsel Robert Mueller has long been a red line for most Republicans in Congress who are trying to work with the president. But it's a red line they'd rather not act on. And now, with news that President Trump actually made moves to do it, they may be forced to. Crudy, there are two bills in Congress, both of which have some Republican support, that would protect Mueller from being fired by Trump. But neither bill has been seriously considered by leadership. Up until this point, Republicans had given Trump the benefit of the doubt that he wouldn't launch a constitutional crisis. From their perspective, why take action and cause a confrontation with the president and jeopardize their agenda if they don't absolutely have to? Now, they may have to. Trump moved to fire Mueller in June, shortly after the special counsel took over the investigation of Russia meddling in the 2016 election, the New York Times, and then the Washington Post reported on Thursday night. Trump seemed pretty dead set on it and only backed off after the White House top lawyer, Donald McGahn, threatened to resign. Reports that Trump wanted to get rid of the special counsel don't entirely come out of the blue. He's frequently complained this investigation is a hoax and suggested it's politically motivated. There has also been evidence that Trump was toying with the idea of first firing Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He even hinted in a July interview with the New York Times that he'd fire Mueller if the independent investigation started looking into his finances. Firing Sessions is one of the clearest paths for the president to get rid of the special counsel, who technically answers to the Justice Department, and that got some Republicans' attention. There will be holy hell to pay, Senator Lindsey Graham warned Trump via reporters in July of what would happen if the president fired Sessions. A few weeks later, a pair of bipartisan senators unveiled legislation to protect Mueller if Trump tried to fire people in the Justice Department in a way that would eventually lead to getting rid of Mueller.
I'll pick it up from here. Even some of Trump's biggest Republican critics in the Senate didn't believe he'd go that far. I can't imagine any administration taking a move like that, said Senator Bob Corker. But this revelation is more concrete than news. Over the summer, Trump didn't just think about firing Mueller. He moved to do it. According to the Post, Rosalind Helderman and Josh Dawsey, discussions were had and meetings were held by his aides to try and get him to back off. Republicans in Congress may not have been privy to any of the internal White House conversations at the time about the firing of Mueller, which could be one reason they backed off passing protections for the special counsel. I don't hear much pressure to pass anything, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told MSNBC in November, but there's no indication that the president or the White House are not cooperating with the special counsel. Another quote, this one from Senator John Neely Kennedy. I've never been convinced they're constitutional. He said of one proposal requiring a 3-judge panel to review any firing from the executive branch. There is no bill to protect Mueller in the House of Representatives, where some vocal Republican lawmakers have said Mueller should step down because of what they allege are various levels of bias. Democrats involved in the Congress's Russia investigation were so worried by Republican shrugs about protecting Mueller that in December, Senator Mark Warner, Dem from Virginia, the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, gave a speech warning a constitutional crisis would happen if Trump fired Mueller while Congress was gone. The debate in Congress probably won't immediately shift to how to protect Mueller. Instead, it will probably zero in on whether it's Congress's job to do it in the first place. One more quote. I believe now that this revelation has been made public that there will be increasing pressure to protect Mueller, moderate Rep. Charlie Dent told my Post colleagues. But either way, the confrontation with the president that Republicans were trying to avoid is just landed on their doorstep. I think Trump is like King Joffrey grown up in elected president. They kind of got the same straw hair going thing. A similar attitude. I hope people watch Game of Thrones. It's a great show. And some of the jokes, they make more sense if you know the context. We are the devil's advocates. Perhaps your grievance. You don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Dom often finds that to be the case.
Come on, man.
844-967-2789. Now would be a great time to talk to us. Going to talk about a Milwaukee Buck getting tased for a parking violation overnight with our friend Daryl Ingram after 3. Again, your calls now. Be a good time. 844-967-2789.
I moved on her like a bitch.
If we don't win this fight, then that is the fate of every person in the world.
I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood
Shame.
corner tavern is as classic as the street
Shame.
it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Earl Ingram Show.
I am really honored to have in studio a young man, Mr. Marquise Garner. He's written a wonderful book, Have You Ever Wished You Were Someone Else? Carrying the Weight of Autism. Chapter 4, man, A Face in the Crowd.
Being in public school, a lot of times you have like 35, 40 kids in the class, and I felt like another face of the crowd. Like I wasn't getting the individual attention that I needed when I was falling behind in my curriculum. I felt like I was on a political spectrum. Like not only was I diagnosed as being autistic, but being the first black, I was like, man, not only am I autistic, but I gotta like be a revolutionary for my people, being the first black in the special ed class.
The Earl Ingram Show, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m., Saturdays noon to 3 on WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Come on, man.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
I'm using
failed
facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella. As Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines, I work hard to be a leader in my industry, and I know the challenges posed by changing technology. It's my priority to make sure your network is up over 99% of the time. There's no question, trying to manage your own business IT is risky, costly, and time-consuming. Don't let IT overwhelm you. Learn more about Five Nines at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
We're listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio 1510 AM WRRD. Streaming live on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio and on the phones toll free. It's Friday. Air your grievances 844-967-2789.
You know, head banging would work better for me if I had some hair. It's just not the same. Just not the same. Dom, couple of good of the order things. Want to point out, big live show going on tomorrow. Educators Amplified. Got a couple of our own WRD 1510's own. Earl Ingram Jr. will be the moderator. You know, Earl does his Saturday show. If you didn't know, give him a tune in. Tomorrow especially, Dr. Tim Slecker, the Dean of the College of Education, Edgewood College, Madison, will be part of the panel. And these are usually well-attended events. The last one they did, they had, you were there, Dom, more than 100 people, I would say.
A bunch of people, yeah. Great turnout, great conversation.
Now, they are planning on taking this show on the road, but tomorrow, same venue, Cactus Club, 12 to 3 p.m., tune in, WRD 1510 a.m., or go down and join our friends Earl Ingram and Dr. Tim Slecker. And Dom, most importantly, from our perspective, got a party coming up next Thursday.
Yeah.
February 1st, our first anniversary in business. We survived the year. And that's a cause for celebration. Right. Hell, we'll even buy you a free beer. You got to come down relatively early. I think we might have a well-attended event at the Roman Coin, Astor and Brady Street. That's next Thursday. The party kicks off right here. Devil's Advocates, our day, and those of you that haven't been paying attention, sadly, as an AM daytimer, we got to turn it off. But in February, starting on the 1st, we get an additional 45 days. So all that bonus coverage, that's coming to you from the bar.
45 minutes. So we'll be open. We'll actually be on the air until what, 5:30?
5:30.
Yes.
We will do a 3.5-hour Devil's Advocates, like the last half an hour with a drink in our hand. At least the last half an hour.
At least the last half.
The last half an hour from a bar, the Roman Coin, our fine sponsor right here on Brady and Astor. Come join us there. We're buying you the first beer.
And give us a call if you got something to say today, 844-967-2789. Donald Trump was overseas. He said something
Before we get to Trump again, I just want to respond to this whole firing of Mueller. And we've had former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel on this show, and we asked him what happens if Mueller gets fired. I think this is a little reassuring. For those that think Trump's going to fire Mueller and suddenly he's going to get a get-out-of-jail-free card, I offer you Jim Santel. I believe this is cut 89 on this fine Devil's Advocates radio show, a prayer show, of course. Play it for the people, Fancy Brian.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
Well, I appreciate that fine advice from Jim Santel. Also, Donald Trump, calling it fake news today. This newest claim that he tried to fire Mueller. Well, he also was in Davos giving a speech to the top 1% of the top 1%, Tom. And even they had to push back a little bit. We'd like to share the sound for you now. This is Donald Trump, a speech earlier today. See if you hear just a hint of booze when he throws out the fake news.
I've always seemed to get, for whatever reason, a disproportionate amount of press or media. And throughout my whole life, somebody will explain someday why, but I've always gotten a lot. And as a businessman, I was always treated really well by the press. You know, the numbers speak and things happen, but I've always really had a very good press. And it wasn't until I became a politician that I realized how nasty, how mean, how vicious, and how fake the press can be as the cameras start going off in the back.
You know, not everyone believes Donald Trump when he calls it fake news.
A disproportionate amount of press. And maybe someday someone will explain to him why, Crudy. Well, let me just throw this one out there, John Barron. You're a total media whore. You've been out there doing this, making your brand your entire life. You seek it. That's why.
Well, Dominic, as a total media whore, let me tell you, it takes one to know one, and he is one. We got fine guest, Daryl Ingram, WRD's own former Packer. He's our sales director, but we're going to talk about his run-in when he was an active Green Bay Packer player in the offseason with the Green Bay Police. Some parallels to what happened to Spencer Brown, a Milwaukee Buck player, tasered and arrested, apparently for, disputing a parking ticket. And also Fred Royal from the NAACP of Milwaukee. He'll be live in studio with the Devil's Advocates at 3:30. You better stick around. This show, it's just getting better.
They call me the ratings machine.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Going through divorce is a very emotional time in someone's life, and when I went through my first divorce, I really needed someone to help me through the legal aspects of what my rights were. That's why I got in contact with Lawton & Cates.
The attorneys at Lawton & Cates. It's who you turn to for legal advice. 282-6200 or lawtoncates.com.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience, the only choice, Lawton & Cates.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
He is Mark Thompson. He is the chair of the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
When the leader of the Senate acts like a king rather than an elected representative and won't even give a hard-working person a hearing before he asks for his head on a plate, that is being a bully. So this is not, this is just stating the facts. No fake news here.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha.
Border battle. Growth good but slows. I'm Michael Toscano.
The president is determined to finally build a wall
at the southern border.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions in Norfolk, Virginia this afternoon supporting the $25 billion wall President Trump wants Democrats to support in exchange for a path to citizenship for 1.8 million dreamers. Immigration shaping up as the central fight as the clock starts ticking toward another government shutdown. Meanwhile, Border Patrol agents in Texas are dealing with a tunnel under the border.
Officials say the tunnel traveled 25 yards north from the Mexico border into El Paso. Chief Patrol Agent Aaron Hull says any information about the tunnel from the public would be helpful.
We welcome any assistance from the community in reporting information known about the tunnel. Any information can be reported to the El Paso Intelligence Operations Center.
The tunnel was immediately excavated and filled with concrete. I'm Clayton Neville.
The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations is calling a rumor about an affair with President Trump disgusting and not true, and she's using the moment to make a larger point about what women in power face in the workplace. Nikki Haley telling Politico's podcast, Women Rule.
People see lies for what it is. Do I like it? No. Is it right? No. Is it going to slow me down? Not at all. Anytime this has happened, it only makes me fight harder. It only makes me work harder. And I do it for the sake of other women that are behind me.
The entire USA Gymnastics Board will resign in the wake of the scandal stemming from the sexual abuse of female athletes by former Dr. Larry Nassar, board members bowing to the demands of U.S. Olympic officials. Also today, Michigan State University Athletic Director Mark Hollis has stepped down. U.S. economic growth unexpectedly slowed in the fourth quarter as the strongest pace of consumer spending in 3 years resulted in a surge of imports. The Commerce Department says the GDP expanded at a 2.6 annual rate compared to 3.2% in the third quarter. I'm Michael Toscano.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
They'll challenge your authority because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
End of the week music news.
What about us? What about us?
Pink's What About Us, now the new #1 song on the Billboard Adult Contemporary Radio Airplay chart, with the track rising from number 2 to the top on this week's chart. Pink earns her 4th #1 on the survey and has the most chart toppers on the list of any act, 4 since her first back in 2013. Camila Cabello's Havana featuring Young Thug is #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. The former Fifth Harmony member earned her first chart topper on the survey, and the same week as her debut solo album, Camila debuted atop the Billboard 200 album sales chart. Well, Maren Morris calls her upcoming single a kiss-off to any guy who tries to pull a fast one on you. Rich will debut on country radio on February 12th, but we have just a bit of it for you here.
I'd be rich, head to toe, Prada, Benz in the driveway, yacht in the water, Vegas at the Mandarin.
I'm Michael Toscano.
Driving means
freedom,
exploration,
fun,
pride,
flexibility,
travel,
protection,
friendship,
escape,
independence.
Distracted driving means
danger,
recklessness,
irresponsible,
chaos, police,
devastation,
injury,
tears, death.
Safe driving means staying alert and staying alive.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Dominic, I can't believe it's been a year. A year that this radio station, WRD, has been on the air.
Crudy, it's time for a party. Join WRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and all of our listeners on Thursday, February 1st at Regano's Roman Coin, 1004 East Brady Street. That's on the corner of Astor and Brady.
The party begins at 5 o'clock. Free beer for all our friends, at least while it lasts, so come join us. Thursday, February 1st, the party begins at 5.
Good afternoon. It's 3:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Senator Ron Johnson has had to walk back his conspiracy theory claim that an informant told Congress there is a secret society in the FBI. Johnson yesterday acknowledged that his earlier statement may have been based on a joke. Johnson had told a conservative news reporter that the secret society was working against the president, that there was, quote, corruption at the highest levels of the FBI, end quote. The senator told the Journal-Sentinel that he stands by his assertion that an informant told his committee that a group of FBI employees was having meetings outside of government offices. Speaking of employees having outside meetings, join News Talk 1510 a.m. and myself at Regano's Roman Coin at Astor and Brady, 5:30 next week, February 1st, for our first anniversary party. There will be free beer. Currently, we're looking at 50 degrees here in Milwaukee and 45 in Waukesha for 1510 a.m. My name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we've been joined live in studio by one of WRRD's own. It's Daryl Ingram. He's a former Packer. He's our sales director. Of course, you know him from 414 Wisconsin. And Daryl, welcome. We'll talk to you in just a moment, but bear with us. Dom, there was a breaking story. It's breaking today. It happened overnight. A Milwaukee Bucks player arrested and tased. Share a few of the details with the audience.
Journal-Sentinel Ashley Lutheran reporting. State arrest records show Brown was arrested by Milwaukee police.
Sterling Brown.
On a tentative misdemeanor charge of resisting or obstructing an officer. A law enforcement source also confirmed to the Journal-Sentinel Brown was arrested last night. Police were doing a business check around 2 a.m. Friday at the Walgreens on the corner of 26th and National when they saw a vehicle parked across two handicapped parking spaces. Officers spoke with a 22-year-old man about the situation during the incidents, and a taser was used, and the man was arrested. The circumstances of the incident and the use of force are currently being reviewed by the police department, according to the statement.
Who the hell gets tased over a parking violation? Now, granted, these were handicapped stalls, but at 2 a.m. in a closed business, nobody's using them. Daryl, we bring you in now. A Milwaukee Bucks player. This guy's about 6'6", African-American. It's late at night. He's probably driving something nicer for vehicles. And, buddy, you're a big guy. You've been in this situation before, haven't you?
Well, I think what's interesting about this is that they said that the charge is a tentative misdemeanor. What the hell is that? What the hell is so basically what they're doing is saying, well, do we have enough, did this guy misbehave enough so we can really charge him? And the answer is no. So
they tased him, and now they got to try to justify.
Try to claw back. So
talking about trying to justify, sorry to interrupt there.
No problem.
But this story first reported by Heartless Radio down the street, who said that they had a source saying Brown confronted the officers who were writing him a ticket and became combative. Talking about trying to get in front of a story. You called WISN. You put this story out there with the right-wing news leader because that's a radio station that villainizes any African-American. And, of course, you know, he was combative with the police. He deserved what he got coming, or at least that's the way I suspect righties are reporting it on the other side of the street.
Yeah, I would like to know what combative means in this incident. So I have a story, and this happened to me, and this is years ago. Things have changed a little bit, but things have also stayed the same.
Let's set a stage first.
Sure.
As we talked about, this Bucks player, about 6'6". You're similarly
6'4".
Not shorty.
You look taller than that.
Yeah,
I'm 6'3", 239 pounds.
And quite
and you're much larger than I.
Yes.
What you when you were playing for the Packers back in 92, 93? What was your playing weight?
I finished playing at 255. I'm probably about 275, 280 now. So I'm bigger than I was. I'm bigger than the average guy walking around the street. My co-host happens to be bigger than me, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm the biggest dude in the room wherever I go, unless I go to a Milwaukee Bucks game, right?
And what about when you're out driving in Green Bay, and it wasn't in season, was it? Tell the people how that differs.
So what
the
happened to
season
me
up there.
back in 1992, and this has changed, but back in 1992, if you were an African-American male in Green Bay, Wisconsin, any time of the year, you were probably either a Packer player or you were a student at the university. Now, once the season was over, players got the heck out of Dodge, man. There were no players there. And so if you were black in Green Bay in January during the time when the Packers weren't playing in the playoffs, you were probably a student. Or I guess you were up to no good, because that's what they kind of figured me. So I was there, and I was actually moving from the West Coast to Chicago, permanent residence. My place in Chicago wasn't ready. I hung out in Green Bay. It was, back in the day, it was cold, and so I'm driving. I'm not even driving my nice car.
What are you wearing?
So I wasn't driving.
You're probably asking for it wearing a short skirt or something.
I wasn't driving my nice ride. I was driving a rental car, but what I was wearing was black boots, a big leather coat, a black beanie cap, sunglasses, and baggy jeans. That's 1992. I'm dressed how I dressed. And so I go cash my check, my last check of the season. I cut through a back alley because I was just trying to avoid turning left on a busy street. And because of that, I was told I get pulled over by 2 police officers, one lady in a separate car than a man. The lady comes up to my car with the gun drawn. The gun drawn.
What?
And you guys, this is well before cell phones with cameras and all that stuff, all the stuff that we see now. And actually, there's people who will teach you how to respond to this, but I didn't know how to. All I did was, this made sense to me. I rolled down the window. I put both of my hands out of the window.
Did it have power windows, or did you? I
rolled the damn thing down. I rolled it down. And I put both of my hands out of the window. This is 1992. I don't know. Were there power windows in 92?
yeah.
My car had them, and I had an old Honda.
But in Green Bay? Were there power windows in Green Bay? So there weren't black people in Green Bay. How the hell were there power windows? So I put my hands out of the window, and I screamed loud. I yelled. I didn't scream. I yelled and I said, "Why is your gun drawn? You are scaring me," just to startle this person.
You scared me a little bit.
Yeah, to wake him up. And so she comes up, inches up with her gun drawn. And I'm like, I can't believe. I go, what is this about? Well, we thought you were a guy that,
You fit the description.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I said, here's my ID. Here's my last paycheck stub that says Green Bay Packers on it. I'm not this guy you're looking for. I'm a player here, and I just happen to be in town because I'm waiting for my place. I know everybody else is gone, but I'm still here. And she kind of started making a joke about it and laughing it off and said, oh, my goodness, my partner and I had a bet that you were the guy, so now I'm going to have to buy him lunch.
And that's why I had the gun out, because we were betting on it.
Right. They thought it was hilarious, and I'm just like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. So I obviously rolled up the window, got back in the car, and drove away.
Daryl, can't speak to your circumstance. I mean, I've been breaking the law before and gotten better treatment by the cops. But let me ask you: is it because you're black, or big, or scary, or what is it?
Yeah, there's
because I'm big and scary, but I'm white.
Yeah, there's an understanding, I think, among black males that we have to be careful when it comes to the police. And I think all of this Black Lives Matter stuff in the last couple of years kind of proves that. And so my son is biracial, and my son is very fair, but he's still black. Culturally, he's still going to be black as he grows up. So I have to teach him. I have to pass this on, how you're supposed to behave. Now, the crazy thing, 2 of my older brothers were cops. One was LAPD, one was LA Sheriff. They were cops for years, and I still am worried about the police. Now, we all know 99% of police do what they're supposed to do. We hope. That's our hope. But there's that rogue element out there that exists. And then also, once that rogue element crosses the line, there's this blue line that comes up to where even the 99% of the good guys are covering for the 1% of the bad guys. And that's the fear.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We got a friend and a colleague. He's Daryl Ingram, former Green Bay Packer. Of course, he's a fine host here on WRD 1510 AM. Hear him 9 to 11 weekdays on 414 Wisconsin. And we'll perhaps also talk about the radio sales you help us here with. But Daryl, I got to tell you, man, as a white guy, I've never experienced any of this.
Yeah, I've never had a gun drawn on me, and I've been detained a couple of times, but never had a gun pointed at me.
They talked about this combative behavior by Sterling Brown last night that apparently was deserved of tasering and arrest over a parking violation. I was similarly held in the Wisconsin State Capitol for a civil forfeiture violation, which was eventually ruled unconstitutional. But when they roughed me up as they were kicking me out, I believe I was standing in the same hallway as the police chief of the Wisconsin Capitol Police, and I lit him up a blue streak. I have no fear of telling him exactly what was in my mind in the most profane terms I could possibly think of. And eventually, and he was knocking on the door like, let me back in. He was locked out. He was stuck here with, me.
Well, as crazy as this sounds, Mike, is that you're white and you can do that. You don't need to have any fear because you can get away. And not that you cross the line, but just even that what some police officers may see as disrespectful treatment of them, you can do that.
I've been in handcuffs and been disrespectful of the arresting officer giving me a lecture, and I told him, kiss my ass.
Yeah.
I had no fear of repercussions. Hell, here's my experience.
And that's an ass beating if you're black.
Hey, coming back from the wild card playoff game, 49ers game, I got my youngest son in the back seat. We're flying out of town. The roads are bad. It's 30 below zero, and I'm driving probably a little too fast and hit slick ice, ended up in the ditch. You know what the cop did to me in Green Bay? Hey, sir, do you got money for a hotel room? Yes. I'm going to take you there now. I got a ride in the front seat of a cop car to a hotel room. Never asked me if I was drinking. Never frisked me.
Yeah.
Never did any of that stuff, Daryl.
If you were black, there would have been some sort of sobriety test, field sobriety. Your car would have been searched, and they would have had to have you would have had to have somebody come and get you. No matter. So you were in Green Bay. You live in Middleton. Somebody from Middleton would have had to drive all the way to Green Bay to come and get you. That's what would have happened if you were black.
3 days later on a lockup, post some bail.
Daryl, I gotta ask you. Of course, Wisconsin is one of the worst states in the country for outcomes of African Americans.
I believe it's the worst.
The worst.
Yes.
The worst. You traveled around as a professional ball player and other endeavors in your life. You've been to many states.
Sure.
What's your opinion? What's your experience been here in Wisconsin compared to the other places you've lived?
Well, I have, lucky enough, when I came back to Wisconsin, I was in my late 40s. Not mid 40s. And so it's different than when I was, 26 playing football. I wasn't and not that I ever was the hellraiser, but you have a different day to day and when you get older. And so I have no doubt that those statistics are true. That
You're hanging out with the wrong people, Daryl. You should party with me and Don.
Yeah, so I can get my head busted in. So, but I'm from California. California is obviously a little bit more liberal, a little bit more accepting of folks. It's just the way that it is. I've been to every state. I've been in every state, Alaska, Hawaii. I've been everywhere. And I don't see a noticeable difference in Wisconsin until I look at the paper and read what's going on. And so I know it. It doesn't affect me yet, I should say. I hope that it never does. But I believe what's going on. I believe it.
Folks, we're at the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Our friend Daryl Ingram. Stick around, Daryl. We'll talk a little more on the other side. Daryl Ingram, former Packer, host right here on WRD 1510 AM. Tune in mornings, weekday mornings, 9 to 11, 414 Wisconsin. And come back. We're going to talk a little more about Sterling Brown, a Milwaukee Bucks player, arrested, tased overnight. More of us, more Devil's Advocates. We'll be right back.
Fight the power! Fight the power! We've got to fight the power that beats!
I have seen shit that'll turn you white.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct that this corruption investigation revealed. Scott Walker was breaking laws.
And Brad Schimmel fails to acknowledge the 6 criminal convictions, 4 felonies in the Scott Walker John Doe 1. Was that also a partisan witch hunt?
One newspaper has done a good job. It's a national paper, the Wall Street Journal.
And A.G. Schimmel filed an embarrassing hack partisan bull report where he's still looking for the leaker. Get a clue! Wasn't it Eric O'Keefe from Wisconsin Club for Growth?
Well, I was born to do this.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more. It's a no-brainer. I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Diamond Crude Special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years, assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local 344.org.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m., and Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. If you miss any of this fine program, please go to the interwebs, diamondcrew.com. You can download interviews and podcasts for free.
You know the problem with this show? Too much winning.
So much winning. I'm tired of winning.
We got former Packer, our friend, colleague Daryl Ingram, live in studio. We got Fred Royal. He's the president of the NAACP. Milwaukee's coming next. We've got Dan Cole. He's a congressional candidate. He's going against Glenn Grothman in Wisconsin's 6th congressional district. I never say that word right. My kids make fun of me. Now everyone's going to listen for it.
6th.
Daryl, before we talk more about this tasing, this arrest overnight, I got to tell you, man, we had some great lunch today, didn't we, Matt?
My goodness.
On the bayou, Cajun over on Martin Luther King, right down from our fine sponsor, Pete's Fruit Market. And we went over there. We're going to start a relationship with them starting next Friday. I'm going to be there. I'm going to eat lunch there next Friday as well. But any sort of good, fine boss has got to buy some food for their office on a Friday. And they do Friday lunches. And for listeners of the Devil's Advocates and WRD, they're going to do free delivery to your office on Fridays. We're going to make it a Friday religious occurrence. Because tell them what we had for lunch.
Well,
man.
I think also with this deal, like, don't they get the $5 off on a future visit as well?
You got to just go in there, tell them you get a coupon as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be
be
bigly.
Well, I had some blackened catfish with sautéed kale, and I know everyone's going kale. It was delicious, unreal. And then we had this stuffed prawn. They said stuffed shrimp. That wasn't a shrimp. That was a prawn.
Yeah, it was massive. It was like as big as my little.
It was stuffed with crab meat, like full lump, real crab, not crab with a K.
Little spice in there too.
Guys, I'll see you later.
Spice.
Real crab.
And then didn't you say any good employer would bring some food for the staff?
And there was also
I'm getting hungry.
They have fish fry every Friday night. They had the catfish fried. I've never eaten fried catfish before today in my whole life. It was delicious.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I had always sort of turned up my nose, snooty Madison elitists don't eat me some catfish.
Eat the bottom feeders.
White people
I did not know it was going to be so yummy.
Dude, so good. I'm sure you've eaten ribs, right?
I have eaten ribs.
Okay, there you go. It's the same. Like, it's the same thing.
No.
Hey,
look at me, man. I eat anything that is delicious, and Cajun is amongst my
Have you
favorites.
ever heard the expression eating high on the hog? You ever heard of that? You know where that comes from? Those are the good cuts of meat. The ribs are not the good cuts of meat. The ribs were throwaway. Black people took that in slavery times and made barbecued ribs out of them. So I know that you've eaten ribs, but let's know where that came from. It's the same thing as catfish. Catfish was thrown away.
But I would tell you this on the Bayou, and we're going to start our relationship next Friday. You will start your own tradition of ordering Friday lunches from them. New fine sponsors right here, WRD 1510 AM. Sunday brunches. Friday night fish, the catfish, unbelievable.
We will be talking about them on 414 Wisconsin.
I had the redfish with the etouffee, the stuffed
I'm still a
prawn-sized
little bit
shrimp.
bitter on you on that because that got snaked from me.
Fancy Brian, I had to push away. Too much food. Too much winning.
I want to have.
On the Bayou, MLK, new sponsor. If you would like to run your fine advertising here, be a part of this team, call our friend Daryl Ingram. He's a former Packer. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I know a little bit about advertising and marketing. I hold a master's in business administration, not just a football player, but I got a little bit of a couple brain cells clicking around there, a couple marbles rolling around that
beautiful
help you out.
And smart.
Yes. Yeah. Emphasis on the beautiful.
And I read a business book one time in college. Come back with us. More Devil's
the
Advocates.
Cliff Notes version, not the whole thing either.
Fred Royal, president of the NAACP in Milwaukee. Thank you, Daryl Ingram. More of this big show when we come back.
Thanks, guys.
What are you doing?
I'm buying this newspaper.
That's all right. There's nobody around. Go ahead, take it. Take it. Go ahead.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
it could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Stephanie Miller Show is on twice daily, 6 to 9 p.m. and midnight to 3 a.m. You can stream The Stephanie Miller Show and all of our fine programming on newstalk1510am.com.
Hello, I'm State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Making sure Wisconsin residents continue to have equal and fair access to voting is very important to me. Here are some key things you should know. Wisconsin requires a photo ID, and chances are you already have what you need to vote. A Wisconsin DMV issued driver's license. You can use this even if it's revoked or suspended. A Wisconsin DMV issued identification card. A military ID issued by the U.S. Uniformed Services, or a U.S. passport book or card. You can use these items even if they're expired, as long as the expiration date is after the most recent general election held on November 8, 2016. For more information about registering to vote, please visit myvote.wi.gov or call the Wisconsin Election Commission Help Desk at 608-261-2028. We won't be taken for granted.
This message was brought to you by WRRD 1510 AM.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
Good afternoon. It is 3:32 for 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. I have some headlines for you. Milwaukee Bucks rookie Sterling Brown was arrested and tased by Milwaukee police over a parking incident. They're calling it a possible misdemeanor. Senator Ron Johnson has to walk back his conspiracy theory claim that an informant told Congress that there is a secret society in the FBI. The Milwaukee Common Council Committee has rejected Mayor Barrett's nominee for interim health commissioner. Alderman Bob Donovan called it, "We need a new, fresh voice." Tomorrow is Educators Amplified Part 2, an education summit open to everyone from noon to 3 at the Cactus Club. And the Brewers are making some big moves. They dealt a handful of young players, including their number one prospect to Miami for outfielder Christian Yelich, and they signed free agent outfielder and former Brewer Lorenzo Cain. It's currently 46 degrees in Milwaukee and 44 in Waukesha for 1510 AM. I'm Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
Got to pay back. Revenge.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We're live on Brady Street in the heart of liberal Milwaukee. We've got a fine guest. He's joined us in studio. He's Fred Royal, president of the NAACP of Milwaukee. Fred, you've been here in this studio before, but never on this fine show. Welcome, sir, to the Devil's Advocates.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, Fred. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Fred, first and foremost, got to get your reaction to this breaking news in Milwaukee. Sterling Brown, Bucks player, gets arrested overnight, gets tased for what, according to WISN and the sources they have within the police department, apparently he was combative over his parking ticket.
Yeah, you know, that's that whole notion of procedural justice and legitimacy of a police force. It goes a long way to be courteous to people. I mean, even in an instance where you may have parked illegally, it's more of a de-escalation for me to approach you. How are you, sir? The reason I'm stopping you or the reason I'm approaching you is because you parked illegally versus get out the car. You know?
Yeah.
And too often we have the instance of the latter with our MPD, and I think a lot of that is coming out in this Department of Justice Collaborative Reform Review that has been released, that there is a need for procedural justice within the Milwaukee Police Department.
Fred, I got to ask you, you talked about the attitude possibly of the police officer on scene. What do you think about the reported attitude of this Milwaukee Bucks player, Sterling Brown. What if he became profane? What if he got mad that he was being issued probably a substantial parking ticket? He's alleged to have parked across a couple of handicapped spots. I would point out it was at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
It was at a closed business. And as far as I can tell, there's been no accusations of guns, drugs, or, intoxicated use of the vehicle. So young man's out past midnight. But if the parking is the crime, do you think he perhaps brought this upon himself, as perhaps the right-wing talk radio might claim today?
Does the punishment fit the crime?
Hell no!
To be tased.
For a parking ticket.
To kill your buzz, if he may have been buzzed.
Yeah, that'll sober you up.
No, that doesn't justify it.
Fred, and Daryl Ingram, he was talking, our former Packer was talking about a circumstance that happened during off-season up in Green Bay. Officer had a gun on him because he was driving while black, apparently. I, as a white guy, I've been in the back seat of cop cars with handcuffs on, and I've been a smart ass, sir. I never worried about getting tased. I never worried about a billy club.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly we have a differing experience, but this young 22-year-old driving probably a fancy car, he looked like a drug dealer, looked like the wrong guy in the wrong place at the wrong time. How do you think this happened?
Or maybe he talked to a guy that's only making $60,000 an hour, or $60,000 a year, and here you are talking to a multi-million-dollar kid in his eyes, who may have gotten belligerent, who may have felt that he had this position of entitlement because he is a athletic star, right? But it still doesn't justify being tased. And this isn't the only occurrence where we see notable athletes being treated in a manner other than you would treat European American. There was a brother just out in L.A., I believe, that was taken to the ground and handcuffed for basically walking in one of the casinos.
Fred, does it make it better or worse if this young man, Brown, if he identified himself as a Milwaukee Buck? A, is that a get-out-of-jail-free card? And
of course not.
No.
Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah, but I guess here's what I would say. If it was
a Packer, maybe, not a Buck.
They don't have a winning record.
That's right, but they're getting better.
Well, that's why Jason Kidd got fired. But, back to the player, is it better or worse if he identified himself as part of the team? Because I would think, a Milwaukee Buck, a 22-year-old kid out there driving a fancy SUV, whatever the case may be, at least it gives context. Do you think it's better or worse if he did identify himself with the team?
So this is why folks get it twisted when they talk about Colin Kaepernick's kneeling at the national anthem. And it's not in protest of the national anthem or the American flag. It's in protest of police brutality. See, because when you're driving while black, walking while black, drinking at a bar after hours while black, you shouldn't be perceived as being treated any differently, or being more aggressive, or being a bigger threat because of the color of your skin. You should be approached with the same common courtesy as you would approach anybody else.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM. Fred Royal, president of the NAACP of Milwaukee, joins us in studio. Fred, the reporting here in the Journal Sentinel says, if I can find it here, Brown was arrested by Milwaukee police on a tentative misdemeanor charge of resisting or obstructing an officer over a parking incident.
Yeah.
Fred, were you surprised by that headline?
How do you resist a parking ticket exactly?
Well, that's an adage. That's a catch-all. If you don't tell the person your name, you can be obstructing. If you don't want to put your hands behind your back, you can be resisting. I mean, there's plenty of ways to justify those allegations, right? I mean, we're talking about the police force.
Fred, are you born and bred here in Milwaukee? I mean, is this your hometown?
Second generation.
Second generation.
Absolutely.
President of the NAACP, certainly you have opinions on racial relations here in the state. How do you think it's going here in Milwaukee?
Oh, man. It's a double-edged sword. I think in some areas there is much better race relations than when I was 11, right? When we're talking about the 50th anniversary of the fair housing marches. In that regard, there's improvement. But in policing, when you look back from Harold Breyer's days, when he had his buddy Judge Serafin in the courthouse, we still have a ways to go when we talk about institutional racism and how it's impacting communities of color.
Fred, I got to ask you, we got a lead in the water issue here in Milwaukee. Not for the first time. At first, it was lead paint. But now they're getting around to figuring out all the laterals, or many of the laterals in the city are lead, and they're poisoning children. My understanding, testing was done, and positive results, not the good kind, but your kid has lead poisoning results, were found. And over 8,000 people, I believe, were not notified. Fred, I suspect many of these people were of color. Got to get your reaction to the lead issue we've got in Milwaukee and perhaps the cover-up that's currently going on, sir.
So many of the individuals are of color, but let's not be bamboozled. Let's not have that divisive wedge of race play into this, because this is a health issue that is citywide, because just as many homes in Bayview have been identified as having lead laterals as they are in Alderman Murphy's district and Alderman Khalif Rainey's district. And all three of those districts are pretty diverse neighborhoods, right? Pretty diverse districts. So let's not allow folks, the media, to paint the narrative that this is a black issue. The city has, and MMSD have known since 1996 that this was an issue, and you can prove this by them adding this phosphorus additive to reduce the amount of leaching, which means the ability for the lead to break off from the pipe and drop into your water, for over 20 years. So now, if you look on the Mayo Clinic's website, eating pico material like paint chips is a symptom of lead poisoning. And I can't prove this, but I think people were being introduced to lead when they identified the paint through the water supply then. But we didn't catch that. We were not aware that it was in the water supply, so we assumed it was the paint. Lead has been an issue in this country since we went to reformulated gas. It wasn't for the benefit of increased mileage or for the benefit to increase the wear on your engine in your car, because neither one of those occurred. But it was because we were putting a poisonous chemical in the air, in the ground, and people at the reformulation plants were dying.
Fred, we got to take a quick break here. We'll do so in a moment. But as we go there, I got to ask you quickly. Governor Scott Walker received a $750,000 donation anonymously through third-party, what was illegal coordinated campaigning at the time, but we'll set that aside for the moment. The greater point is he took $750,000 from lead-based paint manufacturers, and he exempted them effectively from liability in existing federal lawsuits. This almost seems like a act not just of corruption, but also an act of intention, sir.
Yes.
Am I wrong about this, Fred? Do you think the governor is complicit in what has happened here in Milwaukee and really around the state?
Do we have time, or do we want to take this when you come back from break?
You're a smart man. I tell you what, let's tease that thought. Come back with us. Fred Royal, president, NAACP of Milwaukee. You're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We're live on Brady. Got more fine guests coming. Dan Cole, he's a candidate in Wisconsin for Congress, going up against Glenn Grothman. And, of course, your calls later. We air grievances. It's Friday. I got a lot of problems with you people. 844-967-2789.
Well, first of all, there is no police brutality in America. We ended that back in the 60s.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
I needed an attorney because I was injured at work. I wanted to find a reputable attorney. The results that I got with Lawton and Cates were very good. I'm very happy with the way I was treated and the end result that I got.
Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates. 282-6200. 282-6200.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella. As Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines, it's my job to make sure your network is up 99.999% of the time. Technology is constantly evolving, and keeping your business up to date in an ever-changing environment can be a hassle. At Five Nines, we're here to help. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. Better IT gives your business a competitive advantage. Learn how Five Nines can help at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Dominic, I can't believe it's been a year. A year that this radio station, WRD, has been on the air.
Crudy, it's time for a party. Join WRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and all of our listeners on Thursday, February 1st at Regano's Roman Coin, 1004 East Brady Street. That's on the corner of Astor and Brady.
The party begins at 5 o'clock. Free beer for all our friends, at least while it lasts. So come join us Thursday, February 1st. The party begins at 5.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada. Nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the show live on Wisconsin's Resistance, and we're on the web, domandcrute.com.
Dominic, we got to find guests live in our Brady Street studios. He's Fred Royal. He is the president of the NAACP of Milwaukee. And Fred, before the break, I asked you, Scott Walker, is he complicit? I mean, he's taken massive donations from lead-based paint manufacturers, and he gave them back what they wanted. Shield shielded them from liability.
Right.
He, of course, was Milwaukee County executive. Now we find out, not for the first time, but we've got a lead issue, especially laterals here in Milwaukee. But I got to tell you, I don't see this governor solving any problems. Is he complicit in these problems, to your opinion, Fred?
So definitely on the lead paint issue, I could see complicity. But he did put in funding to remove lead laterals. He doled out $11 million. The city of Milwaukee received 2 of those $11 million. And they chose to use their money to, as they say, have an impact on the most vulnerable, meaning that they would remove the lead laterals from daycare centers, and any home that had an emergency break, they would replace that.
But Fred, I would remind the audience in terms of the foreclosure crisis that hit Milwaukee, like everywhere else, the money set up by the mortgage companies to help offset some of the damage they had done, Scott Walker diverted all that money.
Oh yes. But and here's the thing where I think I try and think outside the box sometimes, is that the city of Milwaukee could and look at this as a huge jobs program opportunity, where we would put some folks that are either receiving some type of service or are unemployed or underemployed, and give them an opportunity, one, to make some money, do something meaningful, and then increase the tax base within the city of Milwaukee.
Fred, I got to tell you, I see the head of the health department, I believe,
Bevan Baker.
He got fired. And now I see that Barrett has put up a new recommendation. He got, shut down by the board?
Yeah.
What's going on? Who should be in charge, in your opinion, Fred? Someone needs to be actively trying to solve some of these problems, don't they?
Yeah, well, we've got a favorite horse in this race in the name of Dr. Patricia McManus, who is in charge of the Wisconsin Black Health Coalition. I think she would be an outstanding advocate for the citizens to get this health issue addressed, and not so much as being someone that would allow this to go on and try and cover it up.
And I got to ask you, cover up. Fred, in your opinion, and I'm a Madison guy. I mean, we've solved our lead pipe problems in either the 70s or the early 2000s, depending on whose article you believe. But here's my question, Fred. Is there a cover-up going on? I mean, A, people were not informed of these positive tests. B, we're seeing people fall on their swords. Fred, I don't know the insider politics, but it seems to me like there's some blame to go around, and no one wants to catch any of that blame. What do you think?
Milwaukee's water supply isn't fit for drinking, and that isn't the case. But if you want to look at this in a systemic approach and a more of a analytical approach, when the opportunity was presented by Alderman baseline, some of the most bogus recommendations, our health department could have even brought forth that type of argument that it would cause hysteria in the community. We are just as preventative when we talk about measles, mumps vaccinations. It's not because there's an outbreak, it's because you're being proactive. So why wouldn't you be proactive in understanding the amount of people who have been impacted by lead in your community?
You're listening to the Devil's Advocates. That's Fred Royal. He's the president of the NAACP of Milwaukee. Fred, I don't sense any urgency here from any of the governmental officials on any level. I'm not trying to cause any sort of panic, but if you have 70,000 plus laterals that are lead, presumably a percentage of those are leaking, etching, as it were. Perhaps there's issues there. Where's here state government regarding this issue?
So when you talk about urgency, you always follow the money, right? Because we always invest our money where our greatest interests are. And
Foxconn?
Foxconn, absolutely. That's going to bring 15,000 jobs. But, if they would have got Amazon for $5 billion, they would have brought 50,000 jobs. I don't know where the math is on that one, but somebody didn't go to that class that day. But so when we see that our budget only put in $75,000 next year for lead awareness and filters, and at the same time, the city put in $400,000 to promote a streetcar for next year and $200,000 for the following year, it doesn't show me that there's a whole lot of interest in ensuring that the health of your community is the first and paramount priority.
Fred, I brought up Foxconn. Obviously, there hopefully are some jobs to be had. I'm not
one day
wholly
someday
for this effort.
Maybe.
In fact, mostly against this effort.
How many TVs are you planning on buying?
Well, you see this cracked Foxconn screen? I refuse to replace it as long as Foxconn continues to break promises and Scott Walker continues to believe. But do you think there are jobs there for African Americans? And if so, how do they get to the work?
That's the $1 million question. That's the $64 million question, is how do we get from Milwaukee to Racine, right? You don't want light rail. You don't want to invest in high-speed rail. You can't make people walk to Racine for these jobs. So that is the question that was asked when we had a meeting with Foxconn last week, Wednesday, with the Department of Workforce Development, and they kicked it back to say we're going to let the state figure that one out.
Yeah, good luck with that. Fred Royal, thank you so much for joining us here. He is the president of the NAACP of Milwaukee. Thank you, Fred.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you,
Dan
Fred.
Cole, he is a congressman, or hopes to be one soon. He is running against Glenn Grothman. That's an admirable act. We'll have him in studio next. Stick around. More Devil's Advocates. The happy hour on Brady starts right now.
When the game get hard.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
Scott Walker.
Everything you always wanted in a
governor.
And less.
We are the People for People, People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. You know, educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P for ppc.org, P, the number 4, ppc.org.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you. We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, WRRD, 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee.
America First, Special Counsel Controversy. I'm Michael Toscano.
When the United States grows, so does the world.
President Trump with the new spin on the America First slogan at his last appearance at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, before heading home. He also told the meeting he wants to end what he calls chain migration into the U.S.
The president said a more selective approach is needed for future arrivals.
We must replace our current system of extended family chain migration with a merit-based system of admissions that selects new arrivals based on their ability to contribute to our economy.
The president made no mention of his desire to build a wall along the border with Mexico. Jerry Bodlander, Washington.
So far, no official denial from the White House over reports President Trump told his White House counsel Don McGahn to fire Russia special counsel Robert Mueller last June, and that it didn't happen because McGahn threatened to resign rather than comply. Correspondent Abby Phillip is at the White House.
There's been some conspicuous silence from some of the people involved in this, including Don McGahn. He said absolutely nothing in response to the Times story, which has been confirmed by numerous other news outlets. And also the White House is also not saying much at all.
Students returned today to the Western Kentucky High School, where 2 of their classmates were shot to death this week. Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin at an event paying respects to the victims and in support of Marshall County and the Marshall County High School.
What a blessing it is at a time like this, even in the darkest of moments, that a community can rally and come together like this. It's incredible.
Federal authorities are seeking the public's help to locate 25-year-old Nilsa Marie Irina. She's been dubbed the Freedom Fighter Bandit, who they say is behind a string of bank robberies in Georgia, the latest one yesterday in Dallas, Georgia. The FBI says Irina said she had a bomb, and she did have 2 male accomplices. Wall Street closed way up today, the Dow 224 points. I'm Michael Toscano.
Hi, this is Brad Saug, owner of Zero Res Madison Carpet Cleaning. Zero Res is the best new technology in carpet cleaning. We have a patented process using empowered water, a high-tech process in which we force the water to act like soap. It doesn't want to stay in that state. It's jacked up and it's angry and it wants to hit the dirt and then it neutralizes. When we're done, all that's left in your carpet is just light moisture. In the end, you get the cleanest, greenest, healthiest carpet cleaning available. Call us at 848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward. It's the right way to clean.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Beloved movie musical is about to be remade by Steven Spielberg. Jan Johnson tells us the casting call is out for West Side Story.
Could it be? Yes, it could. Something's coming, something good.
The official 20th Century Fox casting call specifies a non-whitewashed cast for the classic musical about star-crossed lovers caught in the crosshairs of a gang war. Latinas and a Latino are sought for the roles of Maria, Anita, and Bernardo. All cast members must speak Spanish, and Puerto Ricans are preferred for the supporting roles. Just one Caucasian is being sought to play Tony, and Tony winner Tony Kushner will be in charge of the script. I'm Jan Johnson.
Billy Joel is about to set a legendary performance record. He'll play his 100th career concert at New York's Madison Square Garden on July 18th. I'm Michael Toscano.
Our public school system is under attack. Make sure you know what's going on. Join us for Educators Amplify, an open town hall meeting to discuss the state of our public education. Hear from the people in our schools, in our classrooms, and the experts. They also want to hear from you. Join us live at the Cactus Club from noon to 3 this Saturday. Our public school system is under attack. What is the real meaning of accountability? All of this and more will be discussed this Saturday at Educators Amplified Part 2. This Saturday, 12 noon till 3 at the Cactus Club in Bayview. Or listen in right here on AM 1510 Resistance Radio. Educators Amplified. From Schools and Communities United, The Earl Ingram Show, WEAC Region 7, and Busted Pencils. Educators Amplified.
Good afternoon. It is 4:05 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. My name is Brian Kelly. Senator Ron Johnson has had to walk back his conspiracy theory claim that an informant told Congress that there is a secret society in the FBI. Johnson yesterday acknowledged that his earlier statement may have been based on a joke. Johnson has told the conservative news reporter that the secret society was working against the president and there was, quote, corruption at the highest levels of the FBI, end quote. The senator told the Journal-Sentinel that he stands by his assertion about that an informant told his committee that a group of FBI employees was having meetings outside of the government offices. Speaking of employees having an outside meeting, join News Talk at 15:10 a.m. and myself at Regano's Roman Coin February 1st, and that's next week. The corner of Astor and Brady, 5:30, anniversary party, free beer, folks. Currently, we're looking at 46 degrees here in Milwaukee and 44 in Waukesha. For 15:10 a.m., my name is Brian Kelly.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic sliding into the 4 o'clock happy hour Friday. It's always the happiest one. I want to thank our most recent guest, Fred Royal, President, NAACP Milwaukee. Thank you, Fred. And welcome to a new guest. He's Dan Cole. He's running for Congress. He's a Dem in the 6th Congressional District, currently held by Glenn Grothman. Mom, where's the meatloaf? Dan, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show.
It's great to be here, and it's great to be in the studio with you guys on a Friday afternoon.
That's the best way to go.
Dan, I got to ask you, special election, Wisconsin's 10th Senate District, not so long ago on a Tuesday. And according to John Nichols' math, we saw a 36, 37-point turn to the blue. Now, you're going against Glenn Grothman in a relatively Republican district. But I got to ask you, Dan, is this an inspirational win, this Patty Schachtner?
It was, Mike. It was very interesting. It was a shot in the arm. I have to tell you, I was not shocked. Patty Schachtner, she was an underdog, but I've felt the same kind of energy.
Dan, I was shocked. I mean, that's a huge turn in the electorate.
The margin of win, a 10-point win, that was an enormous victory. But listen, there are so many people out there. They are energized. They feel like they're not being heard. She talked about the issues that matter. One of the things that really struck me looking at that district and looking at our congressional district, the last 3 presidential elections, the numbers were identical. Obama barely won in 2008. Romney got 53% in both districts, and Trump got 55%. So a lot of similarities. They have some bedroom Minneapolis suburbs. Yeah. We have the North Milwaukee suburbs and exurbs. So it was definitely encouraging. And let's not forget about the special election in the Assembly District in Washington County, ruby red Washington County, a place where Republicans usually get 70% or more. The Democrat got 45%, and the city of West Bend went blue.
Yeah, we heard that Dennis Degenhardt, he joined us right before Election Day right here in this studio. I got to tell you, though, and you know this, Glenn Grothman's been putting up the panic alarm for some time. He sensed what was happening. He wasn't raising the same amount of money, and he realizes perhaps you have not run for office before, but you got something of a political resume and pedigree in the family. Dan, I think Grothman might be a little intimidated by you, sir.
Well, you know what? I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. We heard the same distress signals that you did early on. One of the things that I have been convinced from the get-go is that Glenn is too partisan and too extreme, even for what's been a Republican district. I'm going to keep on talking about the fact he is the most partisan member in Congress at a time when partisanship is running off the rails.
Eat it, Louis Gohmert.
That says something, Dan.
I hate to use financial fundraising totals as a litmus test of success of your candidacy, But Dan, tell the people how you did. You were subject to FEC filing. How'd you do in your fundraising endeavors?
For the last quarter, ending 2017, we raised $329,000. Glenn Grothman did about $241,000. We now have a cash on hand advantage of over $100,000. So that doesn't usually happen with challengers against incumbents, and that is all the people's money. I haven't put a dime in yet of my own.
Well, Dan, I always feel a little improper asking. It's like asking a guy how much money he makes. Invite you to our house. How much money you got, Dan? But if your opponent, your presumed opponent, Glenn Grothman, if he's not doing as well as he once did, and you have a cash advantage, Dan, how do you get the message out now during the primaries as opposed to during the general election? We saw some postmortems from 2016, and it said people's minds really get made up during the primaries. As far as I know, sir, you don't have a primary foe. How do you craft your message? How do you shape yourself and not let Glenn Grothman do that for you?
Yes, and it is fortunate that I don't have a primary opponent. That's a good thing. Looking at the governor's field right now and all of the candidates there, but the support really has coalesced around me on the Democratic side. I am carving a message that's true to who I am. I'm talking about the issues that matter to people. Everybody's concerned that they're not being listened to, that they're being left by. That the tax bill isn't helping them enough. Everybody is very, very concerned about healthcare costs. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I will continue to talking about. I'd be talking about it if I had a primary opponent. I'm going to keep on talking it until November against Glenn Grothman.
You're listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Dan Cole, he's a Democratic candidate for the 6th Congressional District, a seat currently held by Glenn Grothman. Well, Dan, I know that Crudy says the name and the pedigree is certainly Cole, but I don't buy all that, sir. I mean, that doesn't pass along in the bloodstream to you. So let me ask you, what's your background, where you're from, and what motivates you to want to step up and serve your constituents?
I'll start with the last part of your question, Dom. I am somebody who is very concerned about our country right now, the state of our democracy, all of the fighting, all of the hyper-partisanship, the nature of the conversation. I mean, look at Wisconsin. This is a state where people are civil, they're friendly, they're neighborly, and friendships are breaking up over politics. So, I'd like to think that members of Congress, that elected representatives should elevate that conversation, but all we see is bickering and finger pointing and the blame game. We have to get away from that. So I'm somebody, my mantra is I'm going to search for common ground. I'm going to look for opportunities to work with the other side where I can, but I'm going to stand up for our values where we have to as well.
Dan, my mantra is it's not me, it's Dom.
All right, Dan,
can I tell you a little bit about myself?
Yeah, please.
As well?
I was going to say, follow up with that. Yeah, what about yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right. So, I first of all, I'll start with my family. My wife is Stacy. We have 3 kids. They are Samantha, she's 23. Our son Ben is 20. Our son Adam is 18. I grew up in the district. Stacy and I, we raised our kids in the district. I spent the majority of my professional career working for the Milwaukee Bucks. Got very involved in the community. I do have the public service bug, for better or for worse. I came from the same family that my uncle did. So, I also care deeply about social justice. I believe in growing the economy and an economic system that works broadly and not just for those at the very top. I believe it's important to do whatever you can to make the world a better place. So that all led me to this decision to run for Congress, given the moment that we face and some of the issues that I feel so passionately about.
Dan, many years ago, I had the opportunity to interview your uncle, and I was the photog. Actually, a reporter, Joe Mason, did the interviewing, and we did the politics, and Herb was very nice, very generous with his time. But then we asked him about the Bucks. We were asking a few questions on behalf of the sports department. And you could see the man's eyes light up. I mean, that's where his true passion lied. Mason asked for some free tickets to the game, which is totally inappropriate, but well received by both myself and Joe. Herb Kohl came up to the box, introduced himself, was very gracious, but he didn't join the VIPs like me in the box. He sat right behind the players. And I gotta ask you, as an outsider who was very involved in the team, what about the firing of Jason Kidd? What's your opinion, Dan?
I'm going to let the current management deal with that. I used to face questions like that. Now I'm getting asked about healthcare and things like that. Listen, they have an exciting team. They have a lot of talent. When you do have talent, you have heightened expectations. It was obviously the organization's sense that they weren't getting where they needed to go. So, I'm as curious as everybody else about what's going to happen.
Well, Dan,
so we'll see what happens.
In part through the generosity of your uncle, in part through the generosity of Scott Walker giving the taxpayers money, there's a new Bucks Arena being built right down the road. In terms of economic development, because this, of course, is a foreshadowing of the massive amount of taxpayer money that we Wisconsinites are pouring into Foxconn, but want to get your opinion about A, the progress of the new arena, and B, what that means to Milwaukee that was so desolate in many ways, and now we see all sorts of new development going up around. I wasn't in favor of the taxpayers using our money, but what do you think about this new development going into Milwaukee, Dan?
I think it's exciting seeing all the development that's going on downtown. If you just drive around the corner from your studio on Water Street, you see all the residential units that are being built. It's like
condo corridor down there.
Unbelievable. I think there's an influx of young people that are coming into Milwaukee, and there is a lot of excitement around the Bucks. We see all these new hotels that are developing as well. So there's a lot of growth that's occurring. It's good to see.
Well, some might be critical of any decision to use public dollars to help finance private investment. Okay, let's assume the Bucks Arena is good for Milwaukee. What about Foxconn? Dan, what do you think about this investment? We hear like $4.5 billion and counting. Dan, it seems like a lot of cash to me with a 25-year expected break even. I mean, hell, I'm a businessman, Dan. I'd never take that deal.
I have major concerns about the deal that was struck as well. As you said, the price tag, it seems to continue to rise and rise and rise. Wisconsin taxpayers are on the dime. We don't know how many jobs exactly we're talking about. We don't know who's going to fill those jobs. We have a skills gap as it is in Wisconsin. So a lot of rightful concerns that you're flagging.
Dan, if we have such historically low unemployment rate, where are these employees to work at Foxconn to come from? Mostly Illinois, I suspect. Mostly Bulls fans, perhaps?
That all remains to be seen. I mean, listen, we're all for job creation in Wisconsin, but we need to do things in a smart and a feasible way.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Always try to be smart and sensible here, especially in the happy hour on our little personal shakedown street. We're on Brady. We got Dan Cole live in studio. We'll bring him back. He's a Democrat. He's running against Glenn Grothman in the 6th Congressional District. And I got to talk more about Glenn and his good buddy Donald Trump when we come back. Please stick around. It's Friday. Crack a cold one and enjoy the happy hour with us.
Hey, Ma! Can we get some meatloaf?
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
31? I mean, 13?
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted. He realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
My wife and I were traveling through the Rocky Mountains on our Harley, and we stopped to fuel up, and we were making our way out of town when, bam, a Jeep Cherokee turned right into us. We went flying. Our Colorado Rocky Mountain vacation was over.
They made it back to Wisconsin and their injuries healed, but they had expenses that they acquired because of the accident. The experienced attorneys at Lawton and Cates negotiated with the insurance adjuster and recovered a fair financial settlement. If your life is disrupted by an injury or other legal dispute, Lawton and Cates can help you achieve a successful result. Trust the voice of experience. Call the attorneys at Lawton and Cates, 282-6200. 282-6200.
When you need an attorney, trust the voice of experience. The only choice, Lawton and Cates.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I gotta tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in '92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic.
I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're $3 and some change already, brother.
Guns Butter Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 9 to 11 a.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, or on Twitter at Devil Radio, and online. If you missed any of this fine program, check us out, domandcrute.com. You can download interviews and podcasts.
Dominic, we got a fine guest here on Brady. He's Dan Cole. He's a Democratic candidate running for Wisconsin's 6th Congressional District, currently held by Glenn Grothman. Dan, I got to tell you, I heard some polling, sort of, off the record polling. I won't throw anyone under the bus, but out of the 10th Senate District. In my understanding of the issues as they were polled by outside groups, this was a lot more about Donald Trump and opposition to the Republican tax bill than it was about state and local issues. Dan, you got two opponents potentially next fall, or fall of 18, Glenn Grothman, but the other one is Donald Trump. And the district you live in went for Donald Trump. I got to ask you, how do you see shaping this campaign? Is it all about Grothman, or does Donald Trump factor in?
I'm running against Glenn Grothman. I think there are a lot of contrasts at play between me and Glenn Grothman on the issues. He voted to take people's health care away. I'm somebody who believes that in this wealthy country, we should aspire towards health care coverage that's universal. I'm talking about a number of issues that he isn't. He is, as I said, the most partisan member in Congress. My approach is trying to find common ground, so I like the contrast at play there. Yes, there is a lot of energy that the president has stirred up. I have deep problems about the way that the president comports himself the tweets that we see in the morning, the fact that extremists in his administration like Stephen Miller are carrying the day. So I have major concerns about Donald Trump, but the problems that we see in Congress, they predated Donald Trump. All the fighting, all the bitter partisanship, all the finger pointing. So running it, Glenn Grothman is my opponent, and we'll see what kind of turnout the president has on the electorate come November.
But Dan, if you beat Glenn Grothman, we get one more Democratic vote potentially for impeachment. When you see headlines, the New York Times yesterday, that Trump was prepared to fire Mueller, in fact, wanted it to happen had it not been for Dan McGahn, I believe his name, the White House lawyer, saying no. I mean, we'd have a constitutional crisis right now. Dan, I know you may not want to run against Donald Trump, but I got to tell you, it's going to be an issue for guys like me, for progressives, for the grassroots. You winning a congressional seat, sir, is one more dim in Congress. What about impeachment, Dan? Where does that factor in?
I have been a strong and consistent voice talking about the fact that Robert Mueller's investigation needs to be allowed to continue unhindered by partisan interference. I was very concerned by Senator Johnson's unfounded remarks impugning the FBI this week. So the bottom line is Congress, they need to get behind and publicly support what Robert Mueller is doing. I'm doing that. I think Glenn Grothman should do that as well. We need to follow the facts and make sure that we get to the bottom of Russia's criminal attack on our elections. If we don't do that, it's going to happen again.
Dan Cole, Democratic candidate for the 6th Congressional District. Got to ask you this question. We came back from the 420 break, and here's one way you may be able to distinguish yourself from Grothman. What is your position on the legalization, regulation, and taxation of recreational marijuana for the state of Wisconsin?
On marijuana, my position is we should move to legalize medicinal marijuana right away. I think there's no reason we should have done that a long time ago. It's one of the, it would help alleviate this opioid epidemic that we have as well. On recreational, I think that the Fed should get out of the way. It's a states' rights issue. We shouldn't be wasting law enforcement resources on marijuana. So that is my position. It's clear on marijuana. It is another distinguishing point against my opponent.
Well, Dan, I don't completely embrace your stance, but I will tell you, when this very question, Glenn Grothman got up and walked out of the studio mid-question. So you handled it much better than he. Dan, give me your website if they would like to get involved in your campaign with dollars or volunteerism. How did they do so?
We are www.coleforcongress.com, and I would encourage people to follow us on Twitter at DanColeWI.
Dan Cole, thank you so much for joining us. A Democratic candidate, 6th Congressional District. You can beat Glenn Grothman, man. I believe in you.
Yes.
We're going to do it.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. We're going to make fun of Wanker and one of his appointments next. Wanker bashing.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
When Wisconsin Republican Brad Schimmel,
I don't have a lot of expertise,
decided to run for Wisconsin Attorney General,
I don't even know my own website address.
Even some conservatives questioned his ability.
You can always say no to a request for an interview, and I kind of wish Mr. Schimmel had said no. I don't think he was ready for that.
Schimmel claims to be all about law and order.
You start with the default position that yes, you will enforce the laws.
Apparently, even if that means enforcing a 1960s-style ban on interracial marriage.
It might be distasteful to me, but I've got to stay consistent with that as the state's lawyer. It's not my job to pick and choose.
Wisconsin deserves a competent attorney general.
We've got to go.
Yes, Brad Schimmel, you do got to go. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
I am here from the future. The bridge is out because you didn't fund the roads. Listen to 1510 AM WRRD, Milwaukee, Waukesha. Listen to them if you want to live.
Make a resolution, Milwaukee, to eat your fruits and vegetables. Go to the new Pete's Fruit Market on Martin Luther King and North Ave. Find the freshest fruit, always the perfect peach. Pete's Fruit Market is a brand new, modern, full-service grocery with an in-store butcher shop. Go see the manager, Vidal, for daily specials at the new Pete's Fruit Market on North Ave in MLK. Tell them that the Devil's Advocate sent you.
I was on Zero Res Madison's Facebook page the other day, and they have almost 2,000 testimonials from local customers. Apparently, I'm not the only one stoked on how cool this company is. A green technology that actually works better and doesn't cost more, it's a no-brainer, I'm in. We are starting our own Devil's Advocates revolution to free your carpets from harsh chemicals and soaps. Call Zero Res today and ask for the Dom and Crute special 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only ordering classic corner tavern.
I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa.
And I'm Joel Clayfish.
Listen to us on the Joel and Jocasta Show, Saturdays at 3 p.m.
She's a Latina woman from the inner city of Milwaukee, and I'm a white guy from the suburbs. Diversity in the white guy. You are not going to believe what you hear on this show. I'm telling you, you're going to have to listen. News Talk, 1510 a.m., WRRD.
Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Good afternoon. It is 4:32 for 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. I have some headlines for you. Senator Ron Johnson has to walk back his conspiracy theory claim that an informant told Congress that there was a secret society in the FBI. The Milwaukee Common Council Committee has rejected Mayor Barrett's nominee for interim health commissioner. Tomorrow is Educators Amplified Part 2, an education summit open to everyone from noon to 3 at the Cactus Club. And the Brewers are making some big moves. They dealt a handful of young players, including their number one prospect, to Miami for outfielder Christian Yelich, and they signed free agent outfielder and former Brewer Lorenzo Cain. Bucks house cleaning continues with the release of assistant coach Frank Johnson, the third assistant released since the firing of Jason Kidd. Currently, we're looking at 46 degrees here in Milwaukee and 45 in Waukesha. For 1510 a.m. WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, my name is Brian Kelly.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show in the midst of the happy hour on Brady Street. Thank you, Dan Cole, for joining us, a Democratic candidate, Wisconsin's 6th Congressional District. I struggle with that.
Sixth.
Don't forget, next Thursday on the 1st, going to have a big first anniversary party. We survived a year. We're getting stronger every day, and we're going to buy you a beer if you would care to join us. Down at the Roman Coin, Brady and Astor, the party's going to kick off at 5. Dom, the FCC is going to kick us off today at about 4:44. They tell us we got to shut down this fine AM daytimer, so we got more stories to get to. We're going to get to them next. But don't forget, we got an FM coming. And effective on February 1st, we get an extra 45 days going forward. So bonus coverage of the Devil's Advocates. Party starts at 5 from the bar. Roman Coin, be there. Dom, I got to tell you, this is perhaps one of the more disturbing stories I've seen all week.
And it's been a week full of disturbing stories.
And it doesn't involve Donald Trump, although it does involve one of his appointees, former Walker DNR Secretary Kathy Stepp. She's now the incoming Midwest Environmental Protection Agency chief. And she had a little audience with her new staff in Chicago for the first time earlier this month. And according to a story we found in the Chicago Tribune, her daughter, Hannah, 23, much like my daughter's age and Dan Cole's daughter's age, tried to humanize the mom, Kathy Stepp, 54, by introducing her at an all-hands meeting of 200-plus staff. But Hannah Stepp's charm offensive gently roasting her mother as a mom who would do anything for her kids didn't necessarily have the intended effect. Here's the story, Dom. I failed my first driving test, Hannah told Chicago Incorporated, repeating a story that she acknowledges she told the packed room of her mother's staff January 11th. My mom said, "You're not going to fail it again."
It was a very supportive mother.
And here is the quote from Hannah's stepmother, soon to be appointed DNR secretary, Step. She put on a disguise of a fake nose and sunglasses and went to the DMV and followed someone taking the driving portion of the test so that she could learn the route. And then we practiced it. I didn't fail the second time. Step's daughter said she took the test when she was 16, about 7 years ago, which would place the time of the test around the time Step was appointed to lead the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources by Gubernator Scotty Wanker. Hannah said she did not know where her mother got the false nose, but that she always has it with her. The speech went down well, Hannah thought. Not everyone in the room agreed, though. Two EPA staffers incorporated spoke with, both praised Hannah's poise, but they were taken aback by the driving test story. It was baffling, said one staffer who witnessed the speech but spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not permitted to talk to the media. For a public official's daughter to admit that in front of her entire staff, it's unethical. And then, did she help put someone unsafe on the roads? ? Kathy Step, the staffer said, seemed embarrassed by the story. But Hannah told Chicago Incorporated, that is, that her mother had suspected she would tell the story and just laughed about it. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation said it won't require Hannah to take the test again. It takes no opinion on the ethics of following test takers to gain an advantage, which is not against the law, it said. EPA spokesman Jeff Kelly declined to answer any questions about the incident on behalf of Kathy Step. I wouldn't characterize it as cheating. Dom, setting aside the unethical nature of this, the clandestine...
Wait, what's the unethical part? I don't quite
cheating on the driving test?
What, following...
On behalf of your kid, going and learning the route. That might be a skosh unethical. Because as the staffer from the EPA points out, it's supposed to be a test of competency. Not, you can teach a mouse a maze. It doesn't mean they're capable of driving a car. So if Kathy Step is, in essence, clandestinely spying on the route, teaching it to her daughter... I mean, what kind of helicopter mother is this hovering around? You're not going to fail again.
No, isn't that someone?
talk about a tiger, Mom.
You wanted the EPA crew. Okay. I mean, I guess
unethical and driven to
EPA
make her kids succeed.
They don't characterize it as
anything.
Cheating. You still got to stop at the stop sign. You still got to turn on your turn signal when you turn right or left. I find that less of an issue. But what is she driving around with a fake nose and glasses?
She always has it with her.
That's the more disturbing thing to me. Why?
And what sort of disguise does a fake nose offer? I mean, really, if you're out in public, is the nose the tell? Are
you kidding me?
My God, look at that woman's nose. That's got to be Kathy Step.
Come on, Clark Kent, he put on the glasses and you couldn't tell he was Superman. So throw a nose on there as well. I just wonder if that was the real mustache or a fake mustache.
You mean the nose with the mustache attached?
Like, wow, Scoob, I had no idea it was Kathy Step until I saw her take the nose off, man.
We would have got away with it, too, if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
Jinkies.
What the hell, man?
Kathy Step, I cannot believe that you would allow your daughter to introduce you with a story of this sort. Yeah, I think it's a little unethical, and it is quite troubling that she carries a nose disguise. I mean, what, a clown nose? Is it a big red nose? And do you think the people really didn't suspect that she was the spy?
Did she put a disguise on the driver's license on her bumper as well, the license plate? Because no matter what you're wearing, it can probably pick up what the car is and who owns the car.
Well, apparently it's not illegal to stalk the driving tester, right?
This is so strange. It's a strange story.
She is the sort that Scott Walker would embrace, and of course Donald Trump would embrace as well.
And they have, of course.
Lacking personal ethics, compliant with all their whims. And when I say all their whims, of course, Kathy Step was instrumental in the destruction of the scientific department at the Department of Natural Resources. And she's only joined the Trump administration to further erode environmental protections. And will she do it with or without the clown nose? That's my only true question.
Time will tell.
Well, we got time for a few more grievances. It's Friday. We air them here. I got a big problem with you, Kathy Stepp. With or without your big-ass clown nose. 844-967-2789.
Paul from Wisconsin, you're up. Thanks for calling, man. Happy Friday. What do you got for us?
Hey, am I on the air?
You're on
You
the
are
air.
Wisco Paul.
Oh, okay. Hey, afternoon, Devils. Hey, you guys have rocked all week. It's great. You just keep it up. Hey, please tell me, how do you walk back a comment when you said it? I don't get it. Tell me how.
Well, I've
you do
walked
that.
back a few comments, Paul. You know, after you get your face slapped, did I somehow
but
cross
you're
the
not a
line?
Yeah, but you're not a U.S. senator. You know, I mean, come on.
I wasn't claiming, secret clandestine meetings of a secret society and suggesting that the special counsel investigating the president of the United States for collusion with Russia, no, you're right. I didn't suggest he should be fired like U.S. Senator Ron Johnson did on the Fox News and multiple different other places. And either, as I pointed out yesterday on the air, Paul, he was either T-bowed, meaning he was completely boonswoggled, good to know, encouraging that a U.S. senator can completely fall for a joke. But I also defended the man's sense of humor, seemingly shows some wit. So I suspect, Paul, although purely speculation, Donald Trump got to him. Donald Trump asked him to go out there, and he complied.
Well, I don't want Senator Johnson to fail because he's my senator. I didn't vote for him, but I don't want him to fail. But this looks like, this does not look good. So I don't know. Hey, it just started with the roads with me. That was it. All I wanted was the roads fixed. And now because of you guys, it's so much more than that. And, thanks, guys. WWRD. I hope I said that right. I'm not trying to run an ad here. 1510. Where the right needs to come for the truth, because you guys are truth tellers. And hey, have a good weekend. Thanks, boys.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you listening.
Thanks, Paul.
The shows have been of outstanding quality this week, much like every other week, Paul. And I would like to think of myself as an investigative journalist.
Yeah. And what kind of investigative journalism have you done to come to the conclusion that Donald Trump picked up the phone and called Senator Johnson and tried to get him to give him some cover?
Well, at least I tried to ask the question. Back June 5th of 2017, let's not forget, Trump wanted to fire Mueller on my birthday, June 12th, 2017. Although he denied it at the time, April Ryan did report at the time that White House aides were in an uproar. And then the New York Times apparently broke the big scoop last night. Trump wanted to fire Mueller. Wanted to fire him.
But he didn't.
Couldn't. Don McGahn, the White House attorney, said no. But that doesn't mean that wasn't his
You're
intent.
You're going to tell me he couldn't, that the president couldn't fire him? He could fire anybody, right? He's chief of the executive branch.
I think he's a little yellow.
Maybe but
he was just
could have, and he didn't. I guess is my point.
Oh, so it's not obstruction of justice because the man didn't carry through? That's your legal defense? Sounds like Ron Johnson's newest ignorance is bliss. I got T-boned because otherwise you're complicit. And this president, he's going down. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Learn to stream us live. NewsTalk1510am.com. Thanks, Dan Cole. Thanks, Frank Royal. Thanks, Daryl Ingram. Thank you. Come back with us.
Good evening, everyone. Due to FCC regulations and that we are a daytime AM radio station, this now concludes our broadcast day. But you don't have to leave us. We do stream online 24/7 at newstalk1510am.com. That's newstalk1510am.com. Or check us out on the TuneIn app at WRRD 1510am. For those of you already streaming, we now continue regular programming, and please welcome your friends from the radio station. Say hi, everyone. News Talk 1510 AM, WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Mommy, why are we going to the store? Mom,
I want juice.
Mom,
Juice.
Mom.
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Dominic, I can't believe it's been a year. A year that this radio station, WRD, has been on the air.
Crudy, it's time for a party. Join WRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and all of our listeners on Thursday, February 1st at Regano's Roman Coin, 1004 East Brady Street. That's on the corner of Astor and Brady.
The party begins at 5 o'clock. Free beer for all our friends, at least while it lasts, so come join us. Thursday, February 1st, the party begins at 5.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property, or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009, or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Hi, I'm Crudy. I'm here with Bill Carroll, president of Teamsters Local 344. Bill, why are you union? Teamster strong.
Well, Crudy, our strength comes from our membership. The Teamsters are North America's strongest labor union with 1.4 million members.
Bill, what does the Teamsters do for the next generation?
The same thing that the Teamsters have done for the last 100 years. Assisting groups of workers in negotiating improvements in their wages, hours, and working conditions.
Where do people go if they want to know more about the Teamsters, more about joining the union?
There's 3 easy options. They can call Local 344 at 414-258-4545. They can contact us through our website. That's local344.org. Local, the number is 344.org, or they can contact us through the Local 344 Facebook page.
Be union strong. Join Teamsters 344. Be like Crudy. Be like News Talk 1510 AM. Stand with the unions. Join the Teamsters. Local344.org.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me.
And we are back from, I guess it's not the 420 break. It sure seems like it. Thanks for listening to the Devil's Advocates live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, 1510 AM WRRD. Last segment of the day. It's Friday. We air grievances. If you've got something to say, now is the time. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we got one more fine feature to share with our audience today. Our friend Will Durst, comedian extraordinaire. He does little commentaries for us on Fridays. And I can't believe the poor people in Milwaukee, those not streaming with us right now, aren't going to hear it because he's a funny man. But Charlottesville, Eureka, Minneapolis, this one's for you. Play it for the people. Our friend Will Durst, comedian extraordinaire, Milwaukee's own, a little commentary for 2018.
Hey guys, Will Durst here with your eagerly awaited 2018 Donald J. Trump State of the Union Address drinking game. On Tuesday, January 30th, President Trump will give his first State of the Union address to a convoluted Congress, nervous nation, and one heck of a worried world. And we figure the only way to make the speech interesting is to turn it into a drinking game. So here's what you'll need. 1 shot glass per person playing, and a whole bunch of beer in cans. Ready? Let's start. Whenever Trump slurs or mispronounces a word, drink a shot of beer. If he gets the name of a world leader wrong, drink a shot of beer. If he blows the name of one of his cabinet members, drink an entire beer. If Vice President Mike Pence or First Lady Melania is caught napping on camera, the last person to stand up and sing, "Wake Up Little Susie," drinks 2 shots of beer. Every time Donald Trump says the words collusion or fake news, drink a shot of beer. If he talks about bipartisanship, the last person to grab his throat in a choking motion has to drink an entire beer. Whenever Donald Trump mentions the brave members of our armed forces, stand up, salute with your right hand, and drink a shot of beer with your left. If, during a standing ovation, the president smirks, starting with the person to the right of the TV, take turns drinking shots of beer until the audience sits. If he winks at the camera, make it double shots. If the president talks about his faith in God, last person to fall to their knees and cry hallelujah drinks 2 shots of beer. And finally, whenever he mentions building a wall, drink a shot of beer. Multiply the shots by the number of syllables in the adjectives he uses. Big wall means 1 more shot. Beautiful wall means 3 more shots. Tremendous, amazing, fantastic wall. You figure it out. Have fun, be careful out there, and make sure you have a designated driver. And no knives. For WRRD 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, I'm Will Durst.
Will Durst, thank you so much for the commentaries you do for us. It would be like a Democrat to bring a knife to a gunfight.
What, the State of the Union is next week already?
It is.
Oh.
The state of our union
is strong.
And crazy.
Very crazy.
It's a little like a Trumpster fire. Dom, had a fun week, great week, tremendous week.
Tremendous, the best. A big league week. Big league.
But you know something? It was a little slower this week, tweet-wise. And I've always suspected that Donald Trump does most of his tweeting on a gold-plated toilet seat. And there was a story of interest that caught my eye. The Post earlier this week. Apparently the Trumps, Don and Melania, perhaps before she found out about Stormy Daniels, haven't seen her so much lately. But Don and Melania asked the Guggenheim if they could have what? A Van Gogh to hang at the White House.
Just a painting, something to hang up in the bathroom, perhaps.
And instead they offered, they being the fine people at the Guggenheim, they offered the man a golden toilet, which is entirely different than the dossier that claims golden showers.
Totally different.
The email response from the Guggenheim's chief curator to the White House was polite but firm. The museum could not accommodate a request to borrow a painting by Vincent van Gogh for President Melania Trump's private living quarters. Instead, wrote the curator, Nancy Spector, another piece was available. One that was nothing like Landscape with Snow, the 1888 Van Gogh rendering of a man in a black hat walking along the path in France with his dog. The curator's alternative, an 18-karat, fully functioning, solid gold toilet, an interactive work titled America, that critics have described as pointed satire aimed at the excessive wealth in this country. For a year, the Guggenheim had exhibited America, the creation of contemporary artist Maurizio Cattelan, in a public restroom on the museum's 5th floor for visitors to use. How could they dare offer the almighty President Trump a used toilet, Dom?
Well, Crudy, the exhibit was over and the toilet was available should the President and First Lady have any interest in installing it in the White House, Spector wrote in an email obtained by the Washington Post. The artist would like to offer it to the White House for a long-term loan, wrote Spector, who has been critical of Trump. It is, of course, extremely valuable and somewhat fragile, but we would provide all the instructions for its installation and care. Take it, Trump. Take the toilet. Make Crudy's dream come true. Make Crudy's vision come true. Tweet your crazy tweets from a gold-plated White House toilet.
We're number 1 and number 2, said the New York Post front page offering. The huge lettering over a photograph of the toilet. The tabloid's coverage included a reporter's first-person account. I rode the Guggenheim's golden throne, and a photograph of that reporter seated on the toilet, reading the New York Post naturally. More than 100,000 people have waited patiently in line for the opportunity to commune with art and with nature, Spector wrote in the Guggenheim blog post last year. The museum posted a uniformed security guard outside the bathroom Every 15 minutes or so, a crew would arrive with specifically chosen wipes to clean the gold. Catlin 57 is well known in the art world for satirical and provocative creations, including a sculpture depicting John Paul II lying on the ground after being hit by a meteorite. Another was a child-sized sculpture of an adult Adolf Hitler kneeling. The artist's works have sold for millions. Catlin has resisted interpreting the work, telling interviewers he would leave that to the audience. He conceived of the gold toilet before Trump's candidacy, though he has acknowledged that he might have been influenced by the mogul's almost unavoidable place in the American culture. It was probably in the air, he told the Guggenheim blogger in 2016, as America, the golden toilet, went on display.
I want a golden toilet. Can we please have a golden toilet in the studio? I think this is very important for the staff.
I'm working on it.
All right, thank you.
I am afraid I don't
No,
have
literally, I'm working on it.
That's more in the production booth.
No word from the president from whether or not they will accept this fine gift from the Guggenheim. I can't imagine anyone who would refuse a golden toilet.
Or Donald Trump, except perhaps Melania.
Oh, yeah.
Taking separate vacations, the first family.
Oh, by the way, real quick note, the doomsday clock is now set at 2 minutes to midnight. Any reason that I get to play some Iron Maiden, well, hell, we're a little closer to doom, but I love this song.
Well, as long as we can satisfy your musical appetites, if it means the end of the world, so be it.
All right, we'll go out rocking.
We may or may not be back on Monday, depending on Donald Trump and his gold-plated toilet seat-based tweeting. Let's hope he doesn't start a war. Have a great weekend, everyone. We're going to have more big shows next week, but this week, hell, we couldn't have jammed a much more full. Thank you to all our fine guests once again. Daryl Ingram, 414 Wisconsin host, former Green Bay Packer, WRD's own Fred Royal, president of the NAACP of Milwaukee, and Dan Cole, he's a Democratic candidate for the 6th Congressional District. Thank you for the help. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Fancy Brian. Thanks for the beer. Enjoy it. The happy hour, it's over now. Go to the bar.
Man is douche and is now free to make love to himself instead.
If we don't win this fight, then that is the fate of every person in the world.
I'm going to talk to you about that, Ron.
Shame.
Wisconsin Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel claims he will further investigate the investigators of the John Doe 2 investigation because it was all a partisan witch hunt. Wisconsin State Rep Chris Taylor said this.
There is absolutely no concern expressed by this Attorney General or these Republican legislators about the underlying criminal conduct